8-2 Radio, 8-2 Minnesota Vikings. Good morning. It's Paul Allen by your side. The master mixer of the Monday montage is Eric Nordquist. He produces 9 to noon. Welcome. Happy Monday. Blue skies for today. Is sweeping the AFC South akin to bragging about getting straight A's at junior college? Perhaps it's akin to serving Spam and calling it fine dining. Nevertheless, the Minnesota Vikings are 8-2, and all is good in the neighborhood. And this opening segment is provided by FVP Parts. Reach for what works. Reach for another W, like 3 in a row, 4KO, 3 in a row, 4KO, 3 in a row, 4B flow, 3 in a row, 4B flow, 3 in a row, 4 Romo, 3 in a row, 4 Romo. Some minutia for you. Justin Jefferson passed Torrey Holt for the most receiving yards through 5 years in the history of the National Football League. Covenant clap for number 18, please, from everybody in the Love Covenant. Justin Jefferson, most receiving yards of anybody in the history of the National Football League through 5 years, and we have 7 games to go. It's just gonna keep rolling for Justin. Most receiving yards, history of the NFL through 6 years, and so on. What a wonderful, wonderful talent. So congratulations, JJ. Another touchdown-less game for he's JJ, but it sure was a bounce-back Sunday for Sam Darnold. 3 touchdowns, 2 by air, and his first by land wearing the colors. And the demise of our quarterback, if only for a week, has been greatly exaggerated. Covenant clap from Mad Producer.
Needed that game yesterday. Good work by Sammy.
The Minnesota Vikings swept the lowly AFC South and look to sweep a 3-game roadie at Chicago Sunday, boom, at noon on KFAN. Road games, back to back to back. The Minnesota Vikings have never won back-to-back-to-back roadies. Had 3 in a row on the road in 2017. Beat Detroit, beat Atlanta, but Carolina, L. Charlotte, L. 2017. And while the bounce-back Sunday for Sam the Man on the Fan was needed and prevalent, the defense stole the show again. I mean, down.
Will Levis goes out of the shotgun, tight end to the left, 3 receivers to the right. On 3rd down, Will Levis is sacked back at the 28-yard line. Here comes Blake Cashman. Cashman with his 3rd sack this season, and now the Titans are punting.
Down goes.
3 receivers right, 1 left. Tajay Spears to the left of Will Levis on 3rd down near the Vikings end zone. Levis back to pass. He's hit and he's sacked. He's taken down. 2nd sack today. Patrick Jones with the sack, his 6th this season. That's a loss of 5.
Down goes Will.
Levis goes out of the shotgun, 2nd and 10 from the Vikings 49. He's been sacked twice. Here's a 4-man rush. Will steps up and down goes Levis. Will Levis sacked by Andrew Van Ginkel. 7 sacks this season for AVG. It's going to be a loss of 5. Timeout on the field.
I mean, down goes Will Levis.
On 3rd and 15, Levis back to pass. He's going to be sacked again. Yes, down he goes. Andrew Van Ginkel did it again. Van Ginkel was the first to get there. Jahad Ward probably will get a half sack. And the Vikings...
Minnesota takes its 3rd and final time out of the half.
The Vikings have now sacked Levis 4 times. Loss of 8.
Down goes Will Levis, though.
The Vikings' 4th down defense this year, 2nd best in the NFL at 35%. 4th and 4 for Tennessee from the Vikings 43. Minnesota leads by 10 in the 4th quarter. Levis facing a 4-man rush on 4th down. He's sacked! It's a high five for the Minnesota Vikings defense. Their 5th sack today, and the Vikings have turned over the Titans.
And 10 tackles for loss. Yours truly just loves Andrew Van Ginkel, and I'm not afraid to share it. He now has a career-high 8 sacks. Pat Jones had been stuck on 5 for a month and a half. He now has 7. And the heart and soul of the defense, Blake Cashman, came through with 1 also. Yours truly conducted some drive-bys in the locker room following the 10-point victory at Nashville, and began with offensive lineman Dalton Risner, who made his starting debut at right guard in the 74th start of his career.
Took me a while to get going. I think you might have saw the first play of the game, unfortunately, but it just had to settle in there. There's such stinking good teammates around me, man, and a great organization. Like, really grateful to have gotten the start today, because I feel like I've seen the other side of not being able to play and wondering what the future looks like. Ed Ingram all week, PA, like, it's even tough to talk about, because he just was such a good dude. Like, he prayed for me, he prayed with me. He ran after practice with me. Anytime I asked him a question on anything, he was telling me throughout the whole game. He's telling me what I could do better, tell me what I did well. First guy to come up and hug me after the game. One of the first people to come up and tell me that he was proud of me for getting the start. So I'd be remiss if I didn't really just say how much I love Ed, and how grateful I am for the start today. It wasn't a perfect performance, but I worked my tail off, and I'm so grateful to have played with the Vikings, and it feels cool to be a part of an 8-2 team.
Okay, so, for those who like me, who not really in the know with not playing left guard but playing right guard, like what's the big difference?
Well, I feel like it makes me have so much more respect for guys like Blake Brandel and guys that have moved around and played left guard, right tackle, center, because it is so much different for me. And maybe I'm not one of those guys that says, hey, it's a flawless, easy thing to do, because I think it's really challenging. I think everything's flip-flopped, and I'm better at some things but worse at some things. And it was good to get some burn on the field, because I gotta start to grow and figure out what I can be better at. And it's definitely very challenging. So it's not a flawless, easy thing to do, and it makes me respect the guys that play multiple positions. It's not something I've never done. So, hey, hats off to Blake Brandel, David Questenberry, guys like that who play both sides, because that's hard.
Okay, now you like I said, you had started 73 into today, so 74 now. Right, that's really cool, but all at left guard, okay? Now, during the time where maybe you felt you were ready to go, maybe you felt you were ready to go, but you had to be patient. What's the lesson there for those listening who, they may want to be elevated or jump up, but somebody else doesn't believe it's time? How do you handle that?
Stay calm and let the Lord fight for you. Exodus 14:14. The Lord plans our way. We plan our way, but the Lord establishes our steps. Proverbs 16:9. I've referenced those two verses, PA, because we can try to plan our way as much as we want, but the Lord's got it established. So I knew that there was going to be a time when called upon, and it wasn't so much about when, it was when I'm going to be ready and make sure I'm ready when called upon. And I was called upon this week, and I was ready to go, man.
God bless you. Thank you for the chat.
Yep, love you, PA.
Love you too, Dalton Risner. Let's roll over here. Hey, Jonathan, a couple of quickies if you don't mind. Jonathan Bullard. How you doing, man? Good to see you. Congratulations on the victory today. The run defense. I mean, seriously, well, first play of the game against their offense, you're in the backfield trying to get that sack. So that was a great way to start. But this run defense, man, into the game, 70 and change a game, like second in the NFL behind Baltimore. But you guys take a lot of pride in this run defense, don't you?
Yeah, we do. We all do our jobs. We know if we can put them in a situation, try to make them one-dimensional. And that's what we did today.
How would you define your role with what you do when you're playing at your highest level and it's working collectively with the team? How would you describe what you do?
I'm here to stop the run and be the most physical player up front. Play in the backfield, set edges, and make it physical the whole game for the offensive line.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Jonathan Bullard. Hey, Jerry. How you doing, Jerry Tillery?
Yeah. Great. I'm doing great. Thank you.
Congratulations on the victory.
Thank you so much.
Just talking to Jonathan about this run defense, and I think they ran for 33 yards today. And 33 yards with Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears, nice back. The quarterback runs a little bit too. But you guys just take so much pride in stopping the run. It's not the most glorious thing in the world, but it helps the best teams become even better, right?
Definitely, yeah. That's what we're here for. That's what we do as a defensive front, and we were able to get that done today.
Now through 10 games, you guys are 8-2. This is your first season here. Well, what do you think of the defense overall? Like with Brian Flores' defense, and what you guys are called upon? Marcus Dixon is the defensive line coach. What do you like about the defense overall?
I like it a lot. We're playing well. We got a lot of great players, and we're having success in most of the things we do. And so we're just going to Chicago next week to continue this run.
Last one, Jerry, and congratulations on the victory. Blake Cashman comes back last game. You guys go full strength. And when you go full strength on this defense and you see Van Ginkel back to his normal spot, Grenard, stuff like that, why would you say Blake is so important to this defense?
Well, he's just a great player. He feels the game as it's happening, and he's able to react and respond and attack people and make a lot of plays. And so when you have somebody that, in the middle of your defense, someone like that in the middle of your defense, you're going to have some success. And so when we're playing well and we got all our guys, we make it hard on people.
5 sacks for you guys today and 10 tackles for loss. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Post-game drive-bys, Dalton Risner, Jonathan Bullard, and Jerry Tillery. More on the defense momentarily. Dalton, gracious with his time. What a wonderful lesson about how to handle adversity, how to handle impatience, how to handle you not getting what you think perhaps would be best for you, and handling it in the best possible way for the collective group. Likewise for Ed Ingram, gracious in ceding the right guard spot to Dalton Risner. And Dalton, when I started asking the questions to him, he said, it's a big change moving from left guard to right guard. That was his first National Football League start in that position. And he said, you may have seen that first play. Well, I couldn't remember what happened on that first play. Nothing jumped out to me with the exception of Sam the Man on the Fan completing a quickie to the left side, and it was for positive yardage. So I'm like, all right, first play, what are we talking about here? So I just went and watched it back because I had forgotten Dalton said that. First play of the game, Jeffrey Simmons running by him. Oh my God. Right up into the mix of Sam the Man on the Fan.
Nothing stood out to me yesterday, good or bad, about Risner being in the mix. And
well, that's good news.
And I think at some point, you have to discuss as part of Sam's game. And I got a Vikes Bite for you. And it's always about the QB in one way or another.
Vikes Bites.
His mobility and his ability to extend plays terrific. On 3 or 4 different occasions. There was a great kind of, they got chemistry where Jefferson leaves his route and starts running downfield as Darnold was getting out of the pocket. Ended up being about a 30-yard gain, hitting him on the run. It was beautiful. But sacked just twice yesterday. And for the most part, I would say against the defensive front, which really is the A topic with that team. And you mentioned Jeffrey Simmons. He has a right to win a lot of reps and has won a lot of reps in the NFL.
Right.
I thought Risner stood in there and looked good yesterday, PA.
Yeah. And with Tennessee, we discussed it last week, and their defense had some anomaly-related scenarios to it.
Yeah.
Number 1 in the NFL, giving up 157 passing yards per game, but then they give up 26.5 points per game, which is 3rd worst in the NFL. You had mentioned something last week about short fields, and that was very prevalent, very true. It's very, very true, David. Because they would turn the ball over within the 30-yard line and put that defense on short fields, and they would give up points. So that was very accurate. But having seen the Titans, I'm not trying to turn this into Titans fan line, and I'm Mike Keith, joined by Coach Dave McGinnis. They're onto something there with that defense. Their best corner, L'Jarius Sneed, hasn't played for a month. He didn't play yesterday. And they did a really good job in the draft with a couple of those corners. There was a corner yesterday. I forgot my man's name, but I'll get it for you here in a second. Brownlee. It was a Brownlee Jr.
Jarvis, yeah.
Yeah, 39. I mean, he did as well one-on-one with Justin Jefferson as I've seen anybody do in quite some time. So I don't exactly know what happened with routes or anything, but this Brownlee man, they put him one-on-one with Justin Jefferson. Sam the Man on the Fan win at it, and Brownlee Jr. stood up to him. So that defense was better than I thought it was in preparing for the game at Nashville. And that plays into the positivity with the 3 Darnold touchdowns, 2 by air, 1 by land. They also go 2 for 2 in the red zone on touchdowns, thank heavens.
There we go, after that 0 for 5 last week.
Well, the 0 for 5 is bad for business. I mean, yesterday was Kevin O'Connell's 45th game coaching the team. And in his previous 44 games, let's say 43 before Jacksonville, it was a combined 0 for 5 on touchdowns in the red zone. So that's what O'Connell and this staff do. They score inside the 20. They score touchdowns inside the 20. So business was good with that yesterday as they went for 2 for 2. But before we heard the drive-bys, the sacks and everything, the defense stole the show again. Unsung stars yesterday in this season would include Jonathan Bullard, Jerry Tillery, Harrison Phillips, and the run defense. Tennessee is a run-first operation, and that includes the quarterback running on read options or just running. And they held the run-first operation to 33 measly yards. The Vikings defense has allowed 4 rushing touchdowns through 10. That's the second fewest in the NFL, 1 behind the LA Chargers. And the Baltimore Ravens got a little leaky in the run defense yesterday, specifically against Najee Harris. They take the L against Russ, but their rush defense gave up well over 100, which means the Vikings are giving up 74.4 rushing yards per game. That's number 1 in the National Football League. 74.4 per game, 4 rushing touchdowns all season. That's ballyhooed.
And I like that 3.6 a carry, by the way. That's second in the NFL right now.
And Tony Pollard's good. I mean, just don't for a second think Tony Pollard is not good. His pass protection yesterday, for the most part, was fantastic. They put Tajay Spears in some really difficult spots. But Pollard's really, really good, and their run blocking outside of the right tackle L situation is pretty good.
There was a great moment yesterday on that first sack by Cashman where you could see the Red Sea parted, and he rolls in, and he was trying to follow the back just for like a split second.
Yeah.
And then he identified, Levis still has it. Then he adjusts and just turns right up and got him. I thought, pass protection, maybe in totality, Pollard's not awful. I didn't see him get trucked by any means.
Right.
But it was clear, especially after they said, this run pass option bit, Levis is taking it almost every time. Mm-hmm. You could tell that they just did not have an answer, and Flores could have if you kept extending that game, Flores could have pushed that button for another 10 sacks.
It's Cashman's return. All right. So 2 people yesterday, 2 players played the entire game, Blake Cashman and Harrison Smith. And that is metaphorical to one being the heart and the other being the soul of the defense.
Yeah.
I mean, Van Ginkel's incredibly important, and he has 8 sacks, and he leads the team in tackles for loss, and he's right there with Grenard in pressures. And heart and soul entails and makes up an entire body of something. So the entire body of the defense requires a heart and a soul. And it's clear Blake Cashman is the heart and or soul, and Harrison Smith plays every play of every single game. So, I mean, having Blake Cashman back, we went over it last week with the third down percentage and the interception percentage and stuff like that. But now the Vikings defense has elevated to its number 1 in the NFL with 16 interceptions. Number 4 in the NFL with 35 sacks. Number 1 rushing yards allowed per game, 74.4. And it is fair, with all due respect, it is fair to wonder how much of this has been bolstered by ravaging the weak AFC South. I mean, the Chicago Bears are no bargain right now, and it's not like they run up and down the gym and put up 50. But, the from Indianapolis to Jacksonville to Tennessee, the Vikings defense did what it was supposed to do against offenses that generally have been struggling either now or during the course of the year. And that's important, to do what you're supposed to do. How about this? They've allowed 1 touchdown, that nifty little 98 piece to Westbrook-Ikhine. They've allowed 1 offensive touchdown the last 12 and a half quarters. Back to DeMarcus Robinson in Thursday Night Football.
Yeah.
The Colts got that touchdown, but it was the Kenny Moore scoop and score. And into the game, it's the first Vikings defense in 40 years to have at least 30 sacks and 15 picks. That was into the game. The 35 sacks through 10 trails only the Jared Allen, Antoine Winfield-led 2009 defense.
Whew.
Jared Allen, Antoine Winfield. I mean, Allen, one of the best pass rushers in the history of Vikings football. Antoine Winfield, the best corner in the history of Minnesota Vikings football.
We're going to have to start looking, too, as you mentioned. That's great air to be in with this defense and the 09 crew.
Mm-hmm.
We got to start looking, how many games in a row has a Vikings defense created a turnover? Because now the Vikings, and it was so cool, you know, it ultimately the game was had, but Harrison Smith has his hands on that deep ball earlier in the game.
Yeah.
Then on a rush, I mean, if he catches that thing out of the air when he was rushing at Levis,
when he tipped
and tipped that ball, and then you could see how frustrated he was that he needed a pick and he finally got one.
Yeah,
it was beautiful. But the team now 10 straight games has created at least one turnover via the defense. So loving that.
So whether it's against the weak AFC South or it doesn't matter against whom you're playing at this stage of the equation when you stack these numbers. The defense right now is onto something historically good with B-Flow's flow. The Titans were 0 for 2 on fourth down against a defense allowing first downs on fourth down 35% of the time. Second best in the National Football League. History. Bears on the horizon. After that, Arizona, sneaky good little offense, led by former Vikings wide receivers coach and offensive coordinator Drew Petzing. Then Kirk O'Chains comes to town. Then you get Caleb again. You still have the Lions on the horizon. You still have the Packers on the horizon. Seattle can score some points. Geno Smith never has looked better. So this defense will be acid tested for class as we move forward. But as where we sit now, history with this defense. So now on to the Bears, our third division game. Some questions and things we'll be handling this week, 9 to noon. Did Caleb get right with the new offensive coordinator? Why do they play 7 defensive backs as much as they do? It's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it. The Bears' rushing defense gives up 130 a game and has allowed 11 rushing touchdowns. Aaron Jones has 10 touchdowns in his last 6 versus the Chicago Bears. So maybe it's his turn to steal the show in Showtime-like fashion. And the ballyhooed punter, let's not forget about him. Troy Taylor, the Hawkeye, the Aussie by way of Iowa City. They drafted him in the 4th round. 19 inside the 20, 3 touchbacks, 0 blocks. They drafted him in the 4th round of the 2024 draft. Took him ahead of the likes of running back Bucky Irving, who plays for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and cornerback Jarvis Brownlee Jr. for Tennessee.
I always love that one.
Yeah, why take this talented kid when we can take a punter and not have to deal with Tyreek Stevenson?
I always love that one.
So the Bears are next, the Boom at noon this Sunday on KFAN, and I'm Paul Allen. Good morning. Courtesy of TimberTech and TimberTech.com. That's part of What's on Deck, 9 to noon. Vikes Bites are around the corner. Here comes Nordo with the cash thing.
And I apologize, I didn't update you, PA. No more cash thing. It ended last week, but of course, stay tuned as we do that quarterly, continuing opportunities for you to win money by listening to 9 to noon. But whether it's text messages or talkbacks, connect with us as we continue celebrating an 8-2 Vikings team right here, 9 to noon on the Fan.
Mr. PJ Fleck, coach of the Golden Gophers football team, joins 9 to noon 15 minutes from now in advance of a home game against 4th-ranked Pennsylvania State University. But first, we have these.
Vikes Bites.
Provided by Thousand Hills Lifetime Grazed grass-fed beef. And you can shop online, thousandhillslifetimegrazed.com. And Box of Meat will show up to your doorstep. You can also go to Coburn's, local co-ops as well, and they're proud sponsors of Gopher Athletics. So it fits that they precede the head coach. Excited to talk to him. Excited to talk about Minnesota Vikings football as they improve to 8-2. And Justin Jefferson yesterday, he did lead the way among receivers, 80 yards, no touchdowns, as PA mentioned last segment. But JJ was happy. Jefferson was happy. It was a team win.
Everybody definitely had a little hand in this one. I mean, just having to, just get plays here and there. No defense is just going to give us anything. So every single play, every single drive that we got to come and execute our plays. And we don't know who the ball is going to go to. It really doesn't matter. As long as we're going out there and, extending those drives and putting points on the board, that's all that really matters.
So that's from Jefferson, PA. 10 different individuals were targeted yesterday in the pass game. 10 different people had at least one target. Sadly, the only one not to secure a catch, well, that was Jalen Naylor.
Yeah.
Tough one for Mr. Naylor. But
and Jalen played 32 plays. So, I mean, Kevin is giving him a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. And from dropping the pass at the 7 on Thursday Night Football against the Rams, which was a game changer.
Yep.
Jalen, he should have caught that one in the end zone yesterday, a little bit underthrown as it was. But 32 plays, he's still getting a very fair chance.
He is, and sadly, Sizzle has gone to fizzle. We're starting the season with 3 touchdowns in the first 3 games of the season.
Yeah.
I think he snagged his 4th along the way, too, although that is escaping me right now in terms of which game it was. But
last game.
Some drops, there it is.
Or two ago, one of the two.
But to that end, team win, PA, is this part of... Let's stop, there were no bleep moments from Sam yesterday, and albeit he dropped the ball once, but his knee was down before the fumble occurred, so that did not count. The fumble that did occur, I believe, is on Aaron Jones. People can keep saying it was a little bit behind him. Aaron Jones needs to catch that.
Yeah.
And they almost went out of their way. There was an intentional aspect of several tosses that took place after that.
Yeah, that is a statistical flaw that's antiquated with the National Football League and needs to change. Because 2 of Sam Darnold's fumbles this year are other people's fault.
Yep.
London, the toss left to Ty Chandler. I mean, that was functioning clankability off the hands of Ty, and I'm with you wholeheartedly. Looked to me like Aaron, put his eyes down the field before he caught the ball. But the quarterback's the one that gets the FL, the fumble L.
Thank you to Thousand Hills. Thank you to Zone Coverage. We do the Nordo's numbers bit, zonecoverage.com.
Numbers game.
I'm going to throw a number out for you, and, it's actually 2. The number is 10, as in the disparity in penalties against the Titans and the penalties against the Vikings, but the reason it turns to 80, 80 yards, PA. Isaiah Prince.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness, with Isaiah Prince. It wasn't Laramie Tunsil bad at U.S. Bank Stadium with all those false starts and the formation penalties. But his 3 formation penalties yesterday, PA, 6 yards on a first down catch and run, negated. A 51-yard Calvin Ridley touchdown negated, ended up having to settle for a field goal on that drive.
Wow.
And then a 23-yard catch and run to Westbrook Akine. They ended up turning it over on downs, but down 10 in the 4th.
Yeah.
He negated a pass that would have put them inside the Vikings 30 and a chance to get points and stay competitive in the game.
Yeah.
Isaiah Prince, the numbers are 10 in penalty disparity and 80 yards of Titans offense wiped away by Isaiah Prince and his 3 formation penalties.
It's super sad, and I'll explain why in a second. But that's their 3rd-ish / 4th-ish right tackle. All right, so their starter is Leroy Watson or something.
Yeah, Leroy Watson the 4th.
Yeah, he's been a complete disaster this year.
Regal family.
Right. Well, the regal nature of the family has been lost when they get to the number 4. So my man's out. They go with something called Petit Frere. He was awful. I mean, it's like on 2 plays we saw the replays on the TV copy. Just when you could just even visually, not knowing the play, you could just tell that he did the wrong thing because he'd go left and then try to run back right and somebody got by him. So Petit Frere gets benched. They bring in Isaiah Prince. All right. And you just eloquently and perfectly chronicled the problems he had yesterday. Whew. Here's the sad part. When he got pulled, I mean, it was the longest, slowest, saddest walk to the bench. Oh. It might have been during a break. Yeah, because Bursich and I just looked at it and I said, look at this. I mean, this is the saddest, slowest walk to the bench I've ever seen. And then he gets to the sideline. All right, well, he's young in his career, 3rd year from Ohio State.
Yeah.
He's not the first to ever make mistakes after mistake after mistake. Nobody would talk to him.
Oh.
I mean, he didn't get one fist bump, not one hug, not one it's going to be okay. His position coach, Bill Callahan, is a quarter-century offensive line coach and one of the most well-respected in the history of the National Football League. He wouldn't even look at him.
Yeah.
Prince walked over to the bench to sit with the backup offensive lineman. They almost didn't move to give him a space.
Oh.
So I'm like, I mean, not everybody is Skoronski or Latham,
right,
or either Taylor Luan, who used to be on the team. I mean, it was so sad watching how he was treated when he came back after the Ridley touchdown. That was a tough one to take.
At one point, they had Decker and Luan on the team, right? The Titans years ago.
Decker?
Was Decker? I thought they had bookended big timers.
You're thinking Conklin.
Conklin, there you go.
They had Jack Conklin.
There it is. My fault.
And then
Decker, of course, with the Kitties.
The Calm stole him to win one game.
I mean, it's insane how quickly just missing in the draft and a couple of things. Yeah. Luan and Conklin were maybe the best tackle tandem for several seasons in Nashville.
Yeah, talk about missing in the draft. Can't wait to get to Soldier Field and see what a fourth-round punter looks like, especially when you skip on a corner, a rookie corner. I'm telling you, this Brownlee bit yesterday blew me away. How good he was on Justin Jefferson in single coverage.
They would have loved to have Brownlee in Chicago after the Stevenson Hail Mary bit.
Well, yeah. Well, the bookender, Jalen Johnson's really good.
He is.
I mean, why do we need nice bookending corners in a division where they throw the ball? I mean, with Amon-Ra St. Brown and LaFleur using 9 different guys to get up and down the field. Jaden Reed's good. Oh, by the way, we got 18 and 3 and 87 for these guys.
Your Prince has become a pauper line sent me yesterday. That's why I had to text you.
I
don't know if the Prince and the pauper, I don't know if that's still a thing that people know. It was brilliant. So
well, thank you. But right after I said it, when Bursich was talking, went to the phone fast. PAUPERDEF. Make sure I used pauper the right way, and it wasn't something that's going to get me canceled in 2024. Like I'm putting together is sweeping the AFC South akin to getting straight A's at junior college? Perhaps it's akin to serving Spam and calling it fine dining. The one that was eliminated, it's akin to what, I mean, nobody's done damage to the South like this since Ulysses S. Grant.
I always love that
Eliminated just in case. Didn't want to look up history.
My final bit for you. Here's an audio cut from Andrew Van Ginkel. Feels like there's a new stud every week on defense.
We don't know who's going to make the play, but awesome. we got so many guys that are productive ball players and ball hawks. So it's fun coming into every week. It changes, and it's fun to see that.
We're out of time because we want to get to the head coach, PJ Fleck, around the corner. But maybe whether it's during Bursich and certainly later in the show, there are new heroes every week, but some mainstays. I loved your heart and soul commentary with Blake Cashman back in the mix and Harrison Smith. I want to take some snaps off, Flores says. And you can't take them off the field. but Andrew Van Ginkel being in his spot, Grenard is changing every single game. And moments like yesterday that allow Patrick Jones to flourish. It's really something special that's happening on defense. That's Vikes Bites.
Patrick Jones, by the way, played 75% of the snaps yesterday. That's the most he's played all season. Just in closing here, Grenard, Aaron Jones, Van Ginkel, Blake Cashman. There are some others I'm sure I'm leaving out here. Dalton Risner, who ended up starting. I'm being serious when I say this. This man should be favored for Executive of the Year.
The GM is crazy. The GM is crazy.
Hey.
The GM is crazy. I believe.
Amen, brother. Penn State's in town Saturday. That's a big one. PJ Fleck talks about it next. PJ Fleck, coach of the Golden Gophers football team. It's Paul Allen. Where you been all my life? It feels like we haven't chatted in a year.
It feels that way, hasn't it?
Yeah, for sure. 2 buys during the course of a season. Was any part of the respite? How beneficial was the respite, either personally or professionally?
Well, I think it's always necessary. I think that bye weeks don't mean off. they mean restoring in our program. We want to be able to restore mind, body, spirit, mentally, physically, emotionally. I think we accomplished that. It's a great chance to be able to reflect on what you've done, but more importantly, get a head start on Penn State, which we're going to need because being a top 4 team in the country and playing the way they are, they're playing at an incredibly high level, and we just got to play more consistent. And I think we did that in the bye week. We accomplished that. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday practiced, and then Friday had some meetings in the morning, and then gave our players about a day and a half, 2 days off, and the coaching staff even got away just for about a day to recoup our minds a little bit, and so we can have this stretch down the run with Penn State and Wisconsin, and then obviously our bowl prep all the way through November or December.
Nittany Lions indeed here, 2:30 on KFAN, 4th ranked in the country, as the head coach just said. Big opportunity for you guys. I mean, they're all opportunities, some bigger than others, but this is a big opportunity, isn't it?
Well, it's a huge opportunity. I mean, this is massive. This is the next game, but it's also against a playoff team that's sitting in there at number 4. But it's a 1-game championship season. That's what it is. And that's the way our mindset is. It's a really good football team. This game has no bearing on what happened in 19 or when we played them at Penn State a few years ago. Like, this is its own entity, and that's the way we're going to treat it. But it's a big game because it's the next one in the Big Ten, and it's a great opportunity for our program. Got you on that. Now, what with Penn State, what propels the 4th ranked team in the country? Like what are they consistently good at? Well, their versatility is astonishing. They play with so many different players. If you look at their injury report, there's nobody on it because they play so many players and keep people really healthy. And in a lot of games that they played, I mean, they're out in the 4th quarter. So they platoon their D-line. They play a ton of players on defense. But not only that, their offense, they have 3 different people they play at quarterback. Drew Alar is the one that everybody knows. Number 9 comes in. Number 44 is one of the best playmakers on offense, and he's more of a tight end running back who played high school quarterback. He throws the ball really, really well. And it's kind of like a wildcat package, but it's really just a running quarterback package that can throw it. They do so many unique formations and so many different personnel groupings, and they scheme throughout the week that a lot of it is brand new. You don't even know what you're going to prepare for. And that's a credit to them and their offensive coordinator and what they do. So are 2 prominent and or pertinent words that the defensive players will hear up to this game? Keep contained in a game like this? Yeah, I mean, setting the edge on anything is going to be incredible. They try to get the ball in space to their playmakers and their running backs and everybody on their team, but they also can play, really nasty hand-in-the-ground football. And that's the ability to spread the field vertically and horizontally and play that smash mouth football. So setting the edge, condensing the pocket. We're going to have to get, when we don't get to the quarterback, we're going to have to tip the ball and create some takeaways, hit our explosive plays, and play really, really sound. Well, with your defense, PJ, what are some keys leading to your defense allowing 17.7 points per game? That's 12th best in the country. Well, one, it's our turnover margin. We're getting a lot of takeaways, and that's going to be critical in this game. The reason we are where we're at is because of the takeaways. You're limiting possessions for the opponent on offense, and you're scoring on defense from the takeaways. And I think that's critical. As you look at why people win football games. So for us, we're able to get some takeaways. The games that we haven't won, we haven't held people to field goals, and they score touchdowns. So I think that it's a pretty clear data of what we've been able to do playing winning defensive football. We get takeaways, we tackle really well, we keep people to field goals when they're in the zone, and when we don't do that, and we do the opposite, we lose games. Right. Wow. Very well explained. PJ Fleck, coach of the Golden Gophers football team. Penn State University transfer Christian Diver is former Packers wide receiver Donald Driver's son. Now, when he was transferring from them to you, do you call Penn State head coach James Franklin for feedback, or how does that work? Well, I think everybody handles it a little bit differently. I've talked to head coaches in the past about the players that have transferred. But you're also talking to other people that throughout the whole cycle, whether it's high school coaches or whether you're talking about other position coaches that are somewhere else that know a lot about that person. I mean, you're speed dating, so you need every bit of information you possibly can sometimes you talk to the head coach and sometimes you don't. We're really excited to have Christian here. He's a young player that's developing really well within our program, and his best football still ahead of him.
A short week with travel after Penn State when you go to Madison. So do you guys get ahead on that prep? Do you guys get ahead on that one, or is it all Penn State for now?
Well, I think that's what you're working on in multiple bye weeks, especially in our first one. I don't think you ever get ahead. I don't like to get ahead, especially from our coaching staff, on the opponent we're going to play. But we have a lot of people who do a lot of things that aren't necessarily part of the 10 on film study and breaking things down that can get you ahead. And they've spent some time doing that. But the coaches and the people involved in the day-to-day of coaching our players stay focused on the team at hand.
Now, you referenced it earlier, but the last time you hosted Penn State, 2019, you beat them and all the fans flooded the field. Where does that rank for you with memorable wins here?
Oh, it's up there. Here's what I'll tell you, PA, and you know this, covering the NFL for so long, is every win's important. It's so hard to win. And I think, people look at that, and when you're in it for a living and you're doing it for a living, you realize how hard winning truly is because you see what it takes to get the W. And both teams want it. Both teams are sacrificing for it. Both teams are working crazy hours to get it. But that's definitely up there because I think that was a huge defining moment in Minnesota's history that could really attach the past to where we are now. The new Big Ten is very different, obviously, than even when that 2019 game. But I think that just showed what this place is capable of doing. Maybe not every single year, but we can do stuff like that occasionally. And I think that's what's really fun about college football. Even some things that you look at around the country, people that normally are up there sometimes aren't up there right now. And it's a crazy, crazy world right now and a crazy time in college football. And things like that can happen. But that was a huge moment in our program. It's a memory I'll always have. But it's about the kids making plays, not just the field storming, because they whisked me off so fast. I don't get to be a part of that party on the field. But I got to sit and watch it. Like Heather and I loved to watch that. We did that with USC, and that was a huge win up there. But they're all really important. It's really memorable. And life's about moments and memories. And when people look back 20 years from now and somebody else is the head coach here and, who knows what college football looks like, they'll still talk about that win. And that's what you want to be able to do is leave it better than you found it, find a way to create moments and memories for the alumni, for people who support the program, for the media, to be able to talk about those things way down the road.
PJ Fleck, 9 to noon, and an offensive lineman of yours, Ariante Ursary, just accepted a Senior Bowl invite. All right, so he's headed to the National Football League. What's good with his game, and how high potentially could he be drafted?
Well, I think once he gets to the combine and once he gets to reach the Senior Bowl and once they're going to watch his work ethic. I mean, this guy's had 36 straight starts. He's one of the most athletic linemen I've ever coached, one of the hardest workers. He's great with the media. He's got a great personality. But the sky's the limit. I mean, wherever people draft him, and they're going to get immediate impact player, whether they want to play him wherever, right tackle, left guard, right guard. I mean, it depends on where your O-line is. He's going to be one of the best available players in the draft wherever he's picked. But this is a rare athlete. Because he's going to run really fast. He's going to jump really high. He's going to bench a lot. He's going to pro shuttle really fast. This is one of those athletic linemen. You start taking back to Boye Mafe and, having a great career with the Seattle Seahawks. And, he was a really good player and productive, but he also blew up the combine in a way that, he almost was at number one on all defensive ends and everything he did. This is going to be a very similar type offensive lineman where he's going to be at the top or near the top of every, attribute that you can measure. And then he's got these awesome intangibles too. And he's also really reliable, durable, and played a ton of football in the Big Ten.
So kind of like Daniel Faalele, right? I mean, he's starting right guard for a team that might go to the Super Bowl, the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, big man's now playing right guard, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's very versatile. And it just depends. I mean, when you're drafting players, yeah, you might need offensive linemen. But when you get to the certain player, whether that's the first round, second round, you're really taking the best available, too, of what your need is, and you're taking the best available. And whoever takes him is going to make your offensive line better, and no matter where you plug him in at. So you might not be in a dire need of a tackle, but he might be the best next player available on your board, and you take him, and now your O-line got better because he's playing guard for a while. Or you might not be looking for – you might have a left tackle, and he might be able to play right tackle for you and be a bookends and finish that off. So he's a really, really good football player that's got a bright future, but I know he's really excited about finishing up senior day here and then finishing the season.
Hey, lastly, PJ, and thanks for the extended conversation. I want to chat about running back Darius Taylor. I'm a fan from afar, and he's 8 catches from breaking the single-season record for running back receptions. He averages 5 a game, and in seeing as much as I've seen, I just know not all backs are natural with catching the ball. Like Adrian Peterson was super mechanical trying to catch the ball, but he's going to be HOF. Is this something Darius worked hard at to perfect, or are the mechanics and the routes just natural and easy to him?
Yeah, I mean, he played high school wide receiver, and he played wide receiver in high school. I think that's what helped him really get better and be a really good receiving tailback. And, I think our system has changed to allow and conform to that. It's not just, 35, 40 carries anymore for a tailback here. I mean, we're able to get the ball and distribute it, 21, 25 touches, maybe 30 touches, but get them to him in completely different ways that really promote and highlight his strengths. And I think it's a credit to him. But he's pretty natural at the running back or at the position, but then also the wide receiver position is pretty natural too. Now, the one thing about Darius is he works really hard at developing his craft, mastering his craft, and perfecting that craft. He deserves a lot of credit for that.
Appreciate you, man. Good luck against the Nittany Lions, and we'll talk next week.
Sounds good. I appreciate your time, PA. Row the boat, Sky and Go Gophers and Skull Vikes. Big win this past week. Thanks a lot.
Indeed. Thank you, sir. PJ Fleck, coach of the Golden Gophers football team. Speaking of said Skull, the analyst is next.